In 1941, Kurt Siodmak wrote the script for The Wolfman, which would become the most iconic werewolf movie of all time. It created a modern idea of the fictional werewolf as we know it today, introducing many tropes to the genre, like the transformation taking place at the full moon, the vulnerability to silver, and so on. So obviously this film, this staple of cinematic history, must be great, right?
No.
It's not.
After a long leave of absence, Larry Talbot returns back home to reconnect with his father, Sir John Talbot. Larry's played by the wonderful Lon Chaney Jr., who I will say is a pretty good choice for our lead. Just look at those sad, puppy wolf-like eyes. You immediately feel sorry for him. Sir John Talbot is played by the always great Kupflau Rains, who you may know from several evergreens like The Adventures of Robin Hood, Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, Casablanca, Notorious, Larry of Arabia, and The Invisible Man.
It's not funny!
John Talbot shows his son around the castle until they get to a room with a big telescope. Larry takes this opportunity to... movie. Isn't this the character we're supposed to identify with? Our protagonist, everybody. Give him 5 minutes with a telescope and he's perving more than James Stewart with a broken leg. So you might think that's a little creepy. Well, just wait. Later he actually meets this girl, who's called Gwen, and proudly shows off that he was spying on her.
I'm sorry, we haven't any like that just now.
Oh, yes, you have. Don't you remember? On your dressing table up in your room.
In my room?
Yes.
Okay, really, what's the deal here? Was this acceptable in the 40s?
A telescope?
Sure. And it does the same thing to people in their rooms. That is, if you point it in the right direction.
Oh, you wouldn't.
I mean, nowadays, this alone would be enough to base an entire serial killer franchise on.
Oh, yes, you have. Don't you remember? On your dressing table up in your room.
In my room?
Yes. Would you mind getting them for me?
But were they not for sale?
Well, I can't say that I blame them. They look so well on you.
In their dialogue, they're spouting so much werewolf exposition, it almost gives me the impression a werewolf might later be involved in the story.
It shows the wolf and the pentagram, the sign of the werewolf. Of course. Everyone knows about werewolves.
What's this pentagram business?
Well, every werewolf is marked with that. Well, that's a human being who at certain times of the year changes into a wolf.
Wouldn't it be really funny if they coincidentally talked about a certain monster all the time, and then a completely different monster would show up? Look here. Garlic. And a wooden stake. There's only one explanation. Vampires. Vampires? Well, good thing I brought this cross with me then. Silence. I hear something.
Nur zu denken an Deutschland!
So Larry and Gwen, with her best friend Jenny, go to a gypsy couple to have their fortune told. At night. Because we have to get the plot going somehow. But that's just details. The gypsy called Bella, who is played by Bela Lugosi by the way,
Pull the string.
freaks out when he sees a pentagram in Jenny's hand, which means he's a werewolf and she is his next victim. It makes me wonder why he bothers to read people's hands on a full moon night in the first place, but again, details. So he attacks Jenny a little later and Larry tries to save her. After fighting an obvious dog, he gets bitten and passes out. A little later, Larry and Gwen stumble in the living room, twice, and tell the crazy story. Then some random guy enters the scene, saying Jenny's dead corpse has been found in the woods.
She's been murdered, sir. Wolf, gypsy woman, murder, what is this?
I guess Gwen and Larry forgot about her, but again,
Details.
so now all pawns have been set up to tell a simple but interesting werewolf story. Up till now, aside from some scenes that don't make any sense at all, this movie is pretty good. So I hear you ask, how did I fuck it up? Well, let me tell you what happens next. So first we see some policemen investigating Jenny's body. They...
Captain Montford, here, sir.
Really? You need a dog's sense of smell to discover the other human corpse lying on the other side of the tree? So they miraculously find Bela's body as well as Larry's cane, making him the prime suspect. But when they confront Larry, his psychiatrist, yes, there's one of those in this movie, says he's still in too much of a shock. Bela's mother wants to give her son a traditional burial, with a big gypsy festival and everything. Meanwhile, the townspeople start speaking ill about Larry and Gwen, calling them both murderers. Nevertheless, Larry continues perving on Gwen, even though she's engaged to this guy Frank, who's not very keen with his fiancée hanging out with Larry all the time. Hey, with all the creepy shit, I don't blame the guy.
Well, there's something very tragic about that man. I'm sure that nothing but harm will come to you through him.
So in the next scene they hang out together at the festival. Wait, what? Does he have split personality or something? Did Gollum write this? Bela's mother tells Larry that her son was a werewolf, and that he will become a werewolf now too. She then tells all the other gypsies, who quickly pack up camp out of fear of being killed. This makes me wonder why she invited them all in the first place, but...
Details.
Larry is freaking out because he's a werewolf, as the old woman who was the mother of the werewolf who bit him told him at the gypsy festival. Meanwhile, Scotland Yard is trying to solve this curious case before the townspeople take justice in their own hands, in which case they would target Gwen too, who's just innocent in all this. She's just very confused, as she just lost her friend Jenny, and she herself is in love with Larry, even though she's engaged to this guy Frank. Meanwhile, Larry's father, with the help of the psychiatrist, tried to convince Larry that it's all in his head, while Khaleesi is preparing her fleet to claim the Iron Throne, with the help of Merry and Pippin, who are gathering an army of Ents to make an end to Bill Cipher's tyranny once and for all, so that Luke can become a Jedi and use the Force to quickly evolve his Abra into an Alakazam, so that he can defeat Sabrina in Saffron City Gym. And are you starting to see the problem with this film? There are so many things they want to put in this barely 70 minutes movie. How hard is this? Werewolf bites guy, guy becomes werewolf bites people, repeat until run dry. Well, at least we finally get to see Larry as the werewolf. That's what we've been waiting for. What's that? Just take a quiet, long look at this. It's goofy, isn't it? Does that look like a werewolf to you? No. That's just a hairy man with a Russian Ushanka hat. From afar, you mistake him for one of those stereotypical Canadian lumberjacks. It's weird because normally I love Jack Pierce's work, but this werewolf just sucks. Shred his clothes, give him bigger ears and bigger teeth. Just make him, I don't know, look more like a fucking wolf. By the way, why doesn't he look at all like Bela, the other werewolf? Okay, it was just a dog, but hey, it's closer to a werewolf than whatever you call this. Okay, I'm gonna wrap this up. If you want to know how it ends, just see the movie, I guess. But do you see now why this film isn't that great? I know it's an old movie, but I enjoyed Dracula, The Mummy, The Invisible Man. I just adored Frankenstein and King Kong. To me, those movies just look more fresh and original. I already stated in the previous episode that the Wolfman did introduce a set of rules to the werewolf genre, but that those rules are very similar to those of vampires. In the end, the werewolf here is just another monster to capitalize on, just one of the bunch. I'm sorry, I know a lot of people love this movie, it even appears on several lists of best horror films ever made. But it's true. I mean, overall, the Wolfman seems very lazy to me. The script feels rushed and contrived, there hasn't been put much thought in the makeup, the only thing I do kinda like is the acting. Lon Chaney Jr. really shines here as a tragic werewolf character.
Bad luck. See, nothing to it. Care to try another one?
And Bliblurien is always a joy to watch.
Now, others of us find that good, bad, right, wrong are many-sided, complex things. We try to see every side.
I just wish the script had given them more to work with. And it looks nice, I guess. The cinematography has some atmosphere, even though I think they overdid it with the fog. I mean, are the trees made of dry ice? And it never really convinces me that it's not a studio. I mean, if I was a director, I would say, oh, cut, okay, you lighting guy, can you please move that spot over there just 1 inch to the left? I mean, this looks like a school play, you know, just go do that, yeah.
What the fuck are you doing?
Oh, come on, Chris, just shut up so we can all go home. So yeah, that's about all I have to say about the Wolfman. And if some of you are wondering what I think about the 2010 remake, I couldn't find the time to review that cinematic masterpiece this month, but maybe I will someday. In an episode of totally unnecessary remake that takes a big shit on a timeless classic that isn't really good to begin with in such an embarrassing way, everyone involved should make a public apology. Month. I didn't like it. Let's hope the 60s will bring new light to werewolf movies in our next episode where I review The Curse of the Werewolf. Anyway, thanks for watching. If you agree or most likely disagree, don't hesitate to let me know in the comments below. Just keep it above the belt. Freaks out.
You can't run away.
That's it. That's what she said.
I don't get it.